All right. You want to know how high this up move's going to go? You measure the prior up move, where this whole thing began. You're going to learn a lot of really cool patterns today, you guys. Okay, very simply, point A is the very bottom, where the up move began. As you might be suspecting, point B would then be the top. How far did we get before the first pullback down? Look, we're halfway done already. Told you it'd be simple. Okay, now there's an interesting pattern here. You guys see it? It's a head and shoulders, upside down. See this in here? In a head and shoulders, what you do is you draw a trend line across the bodies of the neck. Okay? Something roughly like this. Then you wait for price to break that neckline and come back and find support from the other side. You see how we didn't do that at first? Actually, we snap to, now we're okay. See that? We didn't do that at first. Suddenly we break above and we find solid support. What used to be our ceiling has now become our floor. And that's when this thing bounces and takes off. Okay, with a head and shoulders, connect the neckline, and remember, bodies, be patient, wait till you find solid support from the other side. That's how you avoid this back and forth mishmash. A good way, by the way, to measure the top, here's a little trick whenever you see a head and shoulders pattern. Now draw a straight line where the second neckline is. Draw another straight line where the head is. Measure this distance and roughly double it. And you get an idea of how far you're going to go. Isn't that a cool trick? But only if you break the neckline and retest from the other side. That's what activates the head and shoulders pattern. But what about being more precise than just measuring and doubling and eyeballing it? Right? Because after all, we're traders. We need precision to make our decisions. That's where fibs come in, you guys. And with fibs, notice I put my point A and my point B at the wicks this time, not the bodies. Bodies for trend lines. Wicks for distance, right? Makes sense if you're measuring distance, you go from the furthest point to the furthest point. I grab my Fibonacci tool, you guys. I put it down by the bottom of the wick at point A. I click and I drag up to point B. And I let go. This is the part where you say, wow. Maybe market movements aren't so random after all. No, they do follow patterns once you know what to look for. Let me explain a little bit about what you're seeing on your chart. Okay, 0 is exactly where I let go of the mouse, point B. Notice as I go back towards point A, where we started from, the numbers count up. This is the percentage of the retracement. So 50% should be roughly halfway. We all good? Halfway between A and B. 61%, about 2/3 of the way. 38%, about 1/3 of the way. So this is the Fibonacci retracement. How far back towards A we've moved. And the important part, the part we really care about, is the Fibonacci extension. How far past B we went. That's why all of these numbers are more than 100. More than 100%, in other words. An extension. A lot of people will look at my fibs and they call them custom fibs because they haven't seen them before. They're actually pretty standard Fibonacci numbers, most of them. We discovered a couple in between numbers as we worked with this over the years, but most of them are pretty standard numbers. The only reason my fib might look different from others that you may have seen in the past is I'm plotting the retracement and the extension with one tool. Just a little bit of mathematical trickery. Get 2 clicks for the price of 1. And I just posted a link, you guys. There you will find a discussion and a PDF document. I recommend taking a look at both. That'll show you step by step how to make this modification. Normally it's 2 separate tools, retracements and extensions, but why not plot them both with 1 mouse click? Okay, it'll show you step by step with screenshots how to do this in MetaTrader. If you're not using MetaTrader, you'll have to figure out how to get to the Fibonacci properties section of your trading platform on your own, but once you do, the numbers will still be valid for the settings. Okay, so we've got points A and B. Let's move on. Point C is how far back towards A you came. Okay, or in other words, your Fibonacci retracement. In this case, we came back 78.6%. Okay, now there's some rules that you need to remember. They're not terribly complicated, but basically Fibonacci boils down to this. Measure A to B, sit back and watch and see where point C is, trade C to D. And statistics tell us some moves are much more common than others. For example, if your retracement goes to 38, your extension will go to 138. If your extension goes to 50, or retracement, pardon me, your extension will go to 161. And if your retracement goes to 61, your extension will also go out to 161. Those are the 3 most common ones, you guys. And the 3 I would like you to start out trading. You'll see them the most often. They have the greatest degree of success. Okay? So what do we do at 78? And some of these others? Well, all those rules are described for you at the above link that I posted. Let's focus on 78.6 because that's what happened in this case. It is flying, and it's not surprising. Andy, I even have an idea where it might stop. It'll either be this prior high. I'm going to make a prediction for today's close. First target, prior high going by the body, 25.62. If we go beyond that and find some support, secondary target. Our fib is at 26.04, but I always set my targets a little bit shy. Okay, just like here. It's called a safety margin. And particularly with a round number at 2,600, you know, let's make it 25.98 to be safe. And as far as a floor, if we drop down, 25.21. That's the purpose of fibs. They set up these levels for me. And then you zoom in, I add a couple moving averages and pivot points, I can fine-tune that even further. But this is already a lot to work with. This is either our floor or our ceiling. If it's our ceiling, then this is our floor. If we break above this and retest it from above and this becomes our floor, then this is our new ceiling.